From Tally to Cali,
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up!
WarChant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.
One ball, corner pocket.
Now here's WarChant.com's Aslan Hajavandi.
And Corey Clark.
Wake up! What is up, everybody? It's Wake Up Warchant, presented by the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Coming up on today's show, the Noles in control. They add probably the biggest playmaker in the transfer portal. And Corey Clark goes one-on-one with the head coach of the number 3 national seed Florida State softball program, Lonni Alameda. Wake Up Warchant, presented by the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, Tallahassee, Florida. Daily lunch specials weekdays, Monday through Friday. On Thursdays, they serve you up a cheesesteak sandwich, chicken or steak, for only $8.99. And because they're such awesome people, they also give you a side dish of your choice. Straight fries or curly fries, onion rings, potato salad, broccoli, side salad, tater tots, or freshly cooked potato chips. Again, only $8.99 for a cheesesteak sandwich and one of those sides. For only $8.99 from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. over the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. CPTallybar.com is a website. And it's Thursday as well, so go play some bingo. Hit the thumbs up. Give a 5-star rating and review. We certainly would appreciate that. Corey Clark, how are you, friend?
I'm good, buddy, and I don't want to brag, but my team won trivia on Tuesday night at Corner Pocket. So just want to throw that out there, everybody.
He's back, y'all. Corey Clark is back. Florida
State's
back.
One of those, Aslan, where there were 6 of us and everybody contributed. That's the best time. We have a couple of really bright guys there that know a lot of stuff, but I kind of cover some of their blind spots. Stephanie got some questions right. Hannah got some questions right. Barbara. I mean, it just all worked out. It all worked out. It's a dream team, as I would like to call it. Not the EAM team. Yeah. That's the Florida State safety position, but it's the dream team. And speaking of dream teams, buddy, look at this offense. Are you kidding me?
I mean, are we the Yankees? Are we the Lakers?
Yeah.
I was thinking about this. Is the fact that college football has 130 whatever FBS programs. Again, Keon Coleman from Opelousas, Louisiana, was at Michigan State in the portal down between Florida State and Ole Miss. Announced his commitment to Florida State on his Instagram Live on Wednesday afternoon, early evening. I don't know how you want to classify that, everybody. But, it's like if the Yankees get 2 free agents or the Lakers get LeBron and a free agent, it's like, man, they always get, they just instantly get stamped with, you're stacking it, that's not fair. But the fact that, Florida State's competing with so many different teams, is that going to spread the disdain? I don't care. I don't think anybody should be worried about this. I just wonder, is there going to be a certain point here where it's Florida State's looked upon as just being this bully, like the Yankees or the Lakers are just signing whoever they want whenever they want?
Yeah, bring it on. Wouldn't you like to be in that position where you're thought of as a bully?
Cool with it. Cool
yeah,
with it.
man, especially with all the news from Amelia Island and all the hand-wringing about not being able to compete nationally. And look, I think we'll get into that later. I don't even think we should talk much about it this show. I think I'm talking about the Amelia Island stuff because I think that's something we could talk about for the next 3 months and really probably the next 2 or 3 years. But I think with what they're doing with these collectives, clearly they are a very appealing program to join. So they are absolutely competitive when it comes to this portion of Florida of college football. Now, coaching salaries and resources and facilities and everything else, as they get further and further behind the 2 big conferences, that might get wider. And then you also wonder, the NILs at all these other big schools, they probably get more money funneled into them somehow or another with all these huge TV contracts. But for now, Florida State is absolutely competitive in the NIL market, and they're winning it. I mean, this is – look, we talked about it last week, right, Aslan? We talked about what was our guy's name? Key.
Jalen Key.
Right? Jalen Key,
yeah.
The safety. Which one would Florida State rather have? And I thought late last week started talking myself into Keon Coleman because I think he is a better college football player than Jalen Key. Now, obviously, they play at different positions, and Florida State probably needed a safety more than they needed a wide receiver. But this kind of wide receiver, everybody needs and wants. Right? This is a guy that automatically makes – I don't know how much better your defense was going to be with Jalen Key. I know the Florida State offense is going to be better with Keon Coleman. like appreciably better, and they were already going to be good to really good. Now it's almost unfair. And I'm not saying that lightly, folks. I'm not just pandering.
That's why I was saying that they're like the Yankees and the Lakers.
Yeah,
like,
but I love it.
Yeah.
Florida State, after 5 years, Florida State, the last 5 years, from 2017 to 2021, Florida State fans deserve this. You are going to have an offense that is going to be unfair to try to defend. I mean, look, man, you have the weakest link of the entire offense is an offensive line with like 200 and something combined starts. That is now the weak link of your offense. And it ain't a weak link. It's not weak at all. I'm not trying to say it is. But you have one of the best quarterbacks in the country. You have one of the best running backs in the country. One of the best running back rooms in the country. You now have maybe, Aslan, arguably the best 1-2 wide receiver duo in the country. At least up there. It's in the conversation. I don't know who Ohio State's number 2 guy is, but I'm sure they got somebody that can play. Yeah. And then you have arguably one of the best tight ends in the country to go along with a tight end room that has some real talent in there. So there is no weak links on this offense. This is an offense that won't set records because it's Florida State, and Florida State has some unreachable records. But you could make an argument that it went from a very good offense to an unfair offense with Keon Coleman, because I think the one question we kind of had was, okay, who's the other guy opposite Johnny Wilson?
Yeah.
Well, now you don't have that question anymore. It's just a 6'4" freak that had a really good year last year for a bad offense and not a great quarterback. So imagine him now with Jordan Travis throwing to him and Johnny Wilson on the other side. I mean, this was a big deal that I think, for me, honestly, Aslan, kind of changes my expectations of the season. It really does. That's how big a deal it was, I think.
So I think I might have been closer to playoffs or bust. I think you were at conference championship, like appearance. Are you now win the conference?
Yeah, I mean, I was always kind of in that boat anyway, that they would have a shot. I think now, again, and the qualifier is the health, but if this thing stays relatively healthy on offense, you should average 40 points a game.
But honestly, if Jordan stays healthy, like, they can afford to lose a guy or two on the offensive line.
They could also afford, if Johnny Wilson sprains an ankle,
yeah,
you can maybe survive that because you got this kid now. Or if Coleman survives an ankle, you can survive it. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I just think what this does is it gives you another NFL caliber player at a premium position, and it makes it's another playmaker. And as we all know, buddy, this offense is built for him.
Amen.
But I think it gives you the confidence to know that even if Johnny is having a bad game, even if they're triple teaming him, well, you can't do that because you can't cover this kid. This kid's a freak too. He's not 6'7", he's 6'4", but he's really good. He's done it at this level. And I was talking to Tom. We did a video that is on the website or on the YouTube right now. If you want to go, I call it the YouTube. Yes. If you want to go watch it, and you should. It got a lot of views very quickly. What it does is it makes this offense where you can't. What do you stop?
Yeah, that's what.
Who do you stop? I don't know who you stop and how you do it.
60 minutes of it. 60 minutes of hell. Again, you have to figure out a way to get to Jordan Travis with 4 dudes and get your hands on him and bring him down. Yeah. And that's much easier said than done. Real quick, PFF's top 10 returning wide receivers by grades that were issued last year. The top 2 receivers are actually from Ohio State. It's Marvin Harrison Jr. and Emeka Egbuka. So,
they're both busts.
Yeah, so
neither one of them can play.
But anyway, Johnny's 7 on that list, so that's always solid. I don't know how much this affects the calculus in my mind now, because again, I was pretty much at playoff or bust for this team this season, because again, man, the backing body of this assemblage of this team is using a hashtag like going for it all in 2023. Again, Jordan Travis came back to get to that level. Jared Verse came back to get to that level. I mean, these guys are all back not to, make it back to the Cracker Bowl. Like, they want to go, Rose or I think Sugar. So it's actually Pasadena or New Orleans. So we're all about that. But yeah, to your point, man. Again, I still want a Jalen Key, because we mentioned if Johnny's ankle goes bad for a few weeks, now you got Keon to hold the fort down. But, man, if Shaheem's ankle goes out or Akeem's ankle goes out, middle of a game, you might not be in the best position. But they can grow and blossom. And, again, like, how often in football do guys get picked on, at least at this level, right? Like, starting cornerbacks in the NFL go down. Jalen Ramsey goes down. His backup gets picked on for probably a touchdown or two if it's early on in the game. I feel like at this level you might be able to kind of smoke and mirrors it enough to survive,
And will the offense be good enough that it won't matter?
That too.
Like that is where I'm at now, where you go in, it just seems like you're going, and it reminds me of the 13 season, and I'm not saying it's going to be the 13 offense because I don't think we'll ever see anything like that again from an efficiency standpoint. It was just unbelievable. But you went into every game knowing, all right, man, you even if you stop them once or twice, you are not going to stop them consistently. They are just too good. And the confidence that comes with that, as a watcher, certainly as a player, to know that you have an offense that when it's playing well, when it's executing, probably cannot be stopped. Florida State hasn't, even last year, that offense had a few down moments. It was mostly good, but it had a few down moments. And I don't know that you went in every game thinking, man, they can't stop this offense. I don't know how many times you went into a game. I know if you went back and listened to our show, we weren't sitting there before all those games saying, yeah, Syracuse has no chance, Miami has no chance, Georgia Tech has no chance. Like we didn't think of the offense like that. I go into this season thinking that. I go into even the LSU game thinking, okay, you might lose this game, but this offense, it's going to put up 450 yards and 30-something points. And you hope that's enough. And again, I just think when you go back to Jalen Key in the safety position, if he would have joined the team, what would that have done to the defensive points per game?
Right.
How much further what does it do at all? Does it move it 0.1, 0.3, a full point? Like, what is his impact at the safety position? Because we weren't even sure he was going to start. Now on the flip side, Keon Coleman, what does he add to the points per game? Because I think you're talking about, I don't know, man, 2 or 3 points a game. Like, I think that's how big an impact this guy's going to have. I mean, you're talking about, and again, what I was talking to Tom about on the video was like, Portier, we were projecting him. We were hopeful. We know there's potential there. We want him to blossom and take that next step. If Kendron Portier takes that next step, it looks like Keon Coleman. But Keon Coleman already is Keon Coleman. That's the beauty. He already is what you were hoping Portier could get to. You just got a fully formed Kentron Portier, but maybe better. That's just, again, I can't, and I know I'm going on and on about it, but I don't know that you can overstate how important this is to an offense that was already going to be good to now be, if they stay healthy for the totality of the season, it is going to be one of the best, maybe the best in the United States.
Yeah. And the maybe not so hidden benefit to all this is that he is draft eligible this coming season. This will be his 3rd season, but, maybe he wants to run it back. You got a guy that's got several years of eligibility left. This isn't a 1-year rental. I mean, I guess you might kind of hope it is. I guess either way, it's a win-win situation because if it is a 1-year rental, everything's probably shot off to the moon, and he's had a really great season, which means his team has probably done really, really well. And if you fall short of your ultimate goals, then, he's a guy that you probably could bring back with the same sort of mechanisms you used to bring him here. So they continue to pile up the proper pieces and have good leverage to continue to use them in more ways than just simply 1-year rentals. So they've got this thing kind of figured out, seems like. Seems like they got it figured out. Speaking of getting things figured out, sounds like Lonni, she's got the whole softball managing thing figured out. Again, Florida State, a 3 seed. They'll open up action. Will they open up today as people listen to this on Thursday, or do they start on Friday?
They're Friday. They're okay. Friday at 4 against Marist. Yeah, it was a really fun interview. Aslan was in doing the Lord's work in Amelia Island. A lot of work, a lot of driving, putting in the work, putting in the miles for what is obviously even more important than Keon Coleman. Clearly is the direction of just this conference, and if Florida State can ever shrink the gap. I thought there were
any objections to me. Any objections to me dropping Ira's wrap up with me at the end of the show after Lonni? give people some of the conference stuff they wanted maybe?
Oh, no, yeah. No,
Okay.
hey, you're hearing the best of everybody. You're hearing Lonni Alameda. You're hearing about Keon Coleman. You're hearing Ira talk about the ACC and revenue distribution and maybe leaving the conference altogether. So it's all good, but so we're wrapping up then is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, but you can offer your thoughts. I know you didn't necessarily want to maybe sound off for too long, but I mean, you obviously.
Oh, no, here's one thing I wanted to say, though, that I hope that is something I clearly will be talking about more and more. You know, Phillips talked about there were AD meetings, multiple AD meetings. He was in on a couple of them, and everybody got a chance to speak. And there will be, it sounds like, some sort of revenue distribution model that isn't what it is now. But my concern is, from what we've read or heard, is it's more success on the field driven.
Well, here's the biggest issue here is that when I thought that they were going to do a merit-based redistribution of the conference revenue, that it was going to be like everything, but it's only going to be those championship payouts, like the amount of money that the school gets for making the NCAA tournament or the playoff. It's not the television revenue. So
that doesn't do anything.
Exactly.
So that is my complaint. I'm sure I'll write about it at some point, and we'll talk about it plenty. But the whole gist of this, the whole reason that it's just unfair what's going on with Florida State and Clemson to a lesser degree, and I say that because it's true. Clemson doesn't draw the ratings that Florida State does. It is not the brand that Florida State is. Florida State is a huge brand, and it's ridiculous that they share money with Wake and Duke. And look, Wake's good. Like, Wake beats Florida State in football seemingly every year. But in the grand scheme of money and ESPN, that does not matter because nobody cares about Wake Forest football. They care about Florida State football. So to make it an on-the-field distribution is just that would be a non-starter for me. That is not going to quell any desire to get out of the conference, is that, because I think you have to keep the people that make the money for the conference happy. And Boston College and Syracuse and Pitt getting the same amount of money from ESPN that Florida State does, when Florida State makes, I would guess, in the neighborhood of 7 to 8 to 10 times, has 10 times more ratings and eyeballs on their games, which means they make 10 times more money for the network and the conference than those schools do. It's preposterous. So just saying, but if you win a championship, you get to keep more of the money. No. How about we keep more of the TV money? Because the TV money is really the only thing that matters. And the reason we have any TV money at all is because of Florida State and Clemson and Miami if they're ever good. So that's my concern, is that that doesn't do anything for me, the on the field success and getting rewarded for that. It needs to be advertising, revenue, TV network success, which should matter because that's where the big money is.
Yeah. Ira actually asked Jim Phillips that on Wednesday, just kind of like, are you guys looking at maybe having the television revenue component be sort of merit or weight-based based on, the amount of attention you bring? And he kind of gave a generic non-answer. And then I was a coward because I wanted to be like, because he asked the question you've always brought up, Corey, about ESPN's supposed to be a partner with this conference, right? Well, how are you acting in good faith when you're giving the SEC like double the money that you're giving the ACC while they provide you the same inventory? Because, I wanted to ask him, but I didn't want to sound like an idiot in front of a bunch of adults, which sometimes hasn't stopped me in the past.
Right, sure.
But is Arkansas versus Missouri really bringing that many more people to their television sets than NC State and Syracuse? Like, to the point to where each of these universities is making $30 million more per year?
No, of course
per year. Like, that's,
of course not.
And I thought that would also kind of a little be unfair because he doesn't know. But like, how are they saying that the market value for this stuff is? It's a crazy thing, and maybe I'll start looking into that with this off season coming up here with shows maybe slowing down. Maybe we can bring on somebody in the TV ad buying, purchasing sort of sphere to give us some insight on that kind of stuff.
Well, and to tie it all together, look, getting somebody like Keon Coleman, it makes your football program better. It makes your offense, it was already going to be probably elite. It makes it a leader. We'll create a word. So when you tie it all together, this is a very big year for Florida State to say, see, look at these numbers. That Florida State LSU game last year got huge ratings, and they were unranked, both teams. Yeah. Now imagine when they're both top 10 and they both have championship aspirations. That might be one of the most watched games of the entire football season. And it ain't just because of LSU. Gang, In fact, it isn't because of LSU. It's the other team. And then you also have the Clemson game. Both of those are in September. And if Florida State is relevant and you're playing Clemson again in December for a chance to go to the playoff, look at those numbers. Look at those numbers, and that's the proof. When Florida State is good, they are one of the 5 most watched programs in the country. They are a program that matters. And I think this is a big, if you're trying to negotiate with other conferences, these numbers will be huge, and it really kind of seems to be coalescing at the right time where Florida State is going to have a very good team in 2023. They just got appreciably better on Wednesday, and you're going into a season with all this turmoil around your conference, but with good reason because you're falling further and further behind revenue distribution-wise, that you will be able to show potential buyers, look how much money we'll make you. Look how important we still are in college football. It's a great time for Florida State to be good again. I can tell you that much.
Corey's interview with Lonni Alameda coming up, but first, Corey asked me how I woke up at 6 o'clock in the morning on Tuesday and drove to Amelia Island and worked till 2 in the morning.
I'm going to guess it had something to do with our friends at Vitamin Energy, but I'm going to go ahead and ask you, Aslan, how did you do that? How did you accomplish something like that?
Vitamin Energy, Corey, crushed it. You nailed it, man. I took the Mood Plus, as I said the other day, when I hit Madison to kind of float me through, and then on Wednesday we were up early, had breakfast with the head football coach, and then had to speak to Jim Phillips for a while, knocked out a stand-up, drove back here, did the live show with Langston, then we had to record this. VitaminEnergy.com, everybody. Shake it and take it. One of these bottles, when you use the promo code WARCHAMP comes out to like $1 a pop, and it helped fuel me for like 2 days to crank out some great content by Irish Schoffel. So you go to VitaminEnergy.com, use the promo code WARCHAMP BOGO. Buy one item, get one item of equal or lesser value for absolutely free. 7 hours of energy, no sugar crash, no artificial additives, just vitamins and energy. VitaminEnergy.com, promo code WARCHAMP
Let me add one thing real quick, Aslan, before we go.
Certainly.
It's not that you had to do this. You got to do this.
Correct.
You got to do this show. That's what you meant to say. That was the
Absolutely.
verb you meant to use. You get to do this show because you enjoy it, and you enjoy talking to me.
MyBookie.ag, promo code WARCHANT. Use that on your first sign-up. You'll get an instant cash deposit bonus based on the amount of money you put in your account. You can use it on your bets. Corey, we're on a heater, bro.
I mean, unbelievable, Aslan.
Jeez. By the way, we're recording this after or before the Heat Celtics game. I told people to take the Heat at +8. But
yeah,
what do you think about Lakers Nuggets game 2? Now that you've seen one, it's the same thing. They've 5.5 points. Denver's favored by at home. Over under the total points 226.5.
Yeah, I'm going to say I think the Lakers might just win this game outright.
I hope. All right,
I think they will. But, man, I handicapped that thing perfectly.
You did.
Game 1. And then all of a sudden, that 20-point game is down to 3. And I'm like, well, this isn't right. I handicapped this one perfectly. The Lakers were supposed to give up. So I do worry a little bit about that. Like they actually expended so much energy that I wonder if they're going to come with the requisite mindset for game 2, like I was hoping they would. Like we're mad, we're going to win this game. I still think they're going to do it. I think these teams are evenly matched. I think the Lakers are good. I think it's going to be 1-1 going back to LA. I like the Lakers +5.5.
There you go. Check it out. Use our information if you'd like, but use the promo code for sure. It's WARCHANT. MyBookie.ag. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere.
All right, I'm here with Coach A, one of the best coaches in the country, one of the best coaches of all time. Lonni, I'll say it. I don't care. You are now, as we talk, about 48 hours away from starting NCAA postseason play.
Yep.
What are the butterflies like for you? Or do you even get them anymore?
Well, Corey, thank you for saying that. And you are one of the best at what you do too.
Hey,
so.
There you go. Two all-time greats.
Yeah. Wow, nerves. I don't know if there's too many nerves right now in the sense of playing some softball. I mean, we've been doing it for months now. So it's just more of making sure that we cover everything to be pretty prepared for what's ahead of us. So we've been really hitting that with practice last couple of days of understanding what South Carolina has and UCF. So nothing really changes from what we do week in to week out. Just a little bit more preparation for the 3 teams that are coming in.
I think I asked you this last year, and it was kind of prophetic because it didn't. The NCAA tournament didn't turn out the way you wanted it to. But when you win an ACC tournament and have and win the ACC regular season, I know there are bigger goals. I know every season of Florida State's supposed to end in a certain city in a certain state, and it's not Tallahassee, Florida.
Yeah.
But do you allow yourself to really embrace and enjoy? Because you get to hang up another banner, you get another trophy, and do you do it so much? But do you allow yourself to embrace the accomplishment? And more importantly, I guess, because it doesn't matter what you do. Do you allow your teammates, or sorry, your players, to embrace the accomplishments they had?
Yeah, I mean, you have to. It's super long season, so you've really got to enjoy the moments when they happen, or else why do you play? Like if you don't, if you're out here playing just for the end goal, then you can't really enjoy the growth moments, the comeback moments, the big swings, different players doing different things. So something that we do, the girls like to have ice cream parties every now and then. So if we accomplish something that's been a goal of ours, we'll have an ice cream party. We're having a social tonight just to celebrate the regular season and the tournament championship, and just to really talk about it and gather with our people to celebrate it. Because, I think fans in general, we always like the last win and national championship, but you also talk about the seasons and the players and the plays they made. So a lot of people will really reflect on Kat Sandercock's year, right? So I know I'm super excited about what she can do this weekend, next weekend, the weekend after. But boy, like her growth and the things that she has done so far has been outstanding, right? It's just been so fun to see. And Josie Muffley, I mean, the plays that she's made. So if we don't take time to celebrate that, like, why do you come out every day to the park, And so you're right. Like take little moments for sure.
And you brought up both of those names. I wanted to talk about both of them. They're both seniors. This is their last run. First off, Sandercock obviously gives a ton of attention, well-deserved. She's talking about one of the best that's ever done it. Clearly, she is one. But Josie Muffley, I was talking to Aslan on the show last week. Do you think people are born with the stuff that she has? As far as I played baseball, not nearly at the level that Josie played it. I considered myself a good fielder, but not like that. Like she has natural instincts she's fielding the ball and her weight's already on the foot she's going to be throwing from as she's bringing the ball in, and it just looks so natural. I know she practices it. But do you think some people are just born with stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously your athleticism, you're born with some athleticism. And then I think, maybe growing up around the game of baseball, probably gave her a little edge to some of those things. I know Jessie Warren was the same way.
Right.
And now that the game of softball is starting to play at a high level at younger ages, you're getting more kids with that, instinctual stuff from there. But I think Josie's biggest challenge is one, to stay healthy, and two, to be consistent, so it's one thing to be a highlight reel. It's another to be consistent every single day and be healthy enough every day. And so that was a big part of Josie this summer is can I stay healthy, strong, and fit all season long? And can I be consistent with my emotions and my play on the highs and lows? And so that's something that she has been incredible at this year, and very proud of her for that. But yeah, I think your athleticism plays a big part in your ability to play a game, whatever the game is. And then your smarts can kick in to take the rest of what you don't have in athleticism.
And when you talk about her and Devin Flaherty at second and then Kaylee at third, I mean, there aren't many more athletic infields in the country than what you have right there, right? And I guess it's been 60 games now.
Yeah.
But Harding going full-time to third base, how has that worked out? Has it worked out as well as you'd hoped it would?
I mean, when you're replacing Sid Sherrill, right? There is a huge shadow cast on that third base. You go from Jessie Warren to Sid Sherrill to some people that just play the game at an elite level and think the game elite level. So I think for Kaylee Harding, the ask of her was a lot, but she's comfortable in right field. She was doing her thing. She was good at it. And then, when the team needs something, you're going to step up and do it. And she definitely did. And it was uncomfortable for her, and it affected a little bit of her mindset hitting, but she stuck with it. So, I'm going to go with the fact that, I am super proud of the fact that she has done it for us, but now she's starting to do it because she loves doing it for her. She loves getting after it. So I think that that's been quite fun to see her grow. And she's getting comfortable with Dev and Josie. And Dev and Josie have been playing together for a long time. So they're like the back of their hands right now. Ocho's starting to get into that mode a little bit.
And going back to Kat, I don't know how she started off the season. Clearly, I have a novice eye. I didn't think she was great to start off the season. But obviously, you guys challenged your team by playing that incredible tournament down in Clearwater. But I would say the last, 3 months has been as good as she's ever been. And you use her in a number of different, or you use her in roles. Like she starts sometimes. She'll start, come out, go back in. She'll close out the last. I guess my question is, number one, has her use changed? Was that a goal coming into the season that you knew her role would be different? And also, how has she adapted to that kind of role where she know, I guess sometimes she knows she's coming in the fifth. Sometimes she's starting. How is that, I guess, that conversation and that role, laying out that role for her, how did that develop?
Yeah, I would say in 2020, 2021, we started really talking about it as a pitching staff. And when we had Watson, Arnold, and Kat, we started rotating that a little bit when we made the 2021 run there for the runner-up championship. Different looks are a huge part of our game right now. Offenses are getting really good. So I, as a pitching coach, had to get more creative with how I was going to present a pitching staff, and I had to develop a pitching staff. I also knew we got towards the end of the year last year, and Kat had, run out of a little juice, and I need to figure out how to manage her better to make sure that she was strong enough to go into postseason this year with covering a lot of innings, what Danielle Watson had last year, with some younger arms, maybe some inexperienced arms. So there has been a different look this year, strategies-wise, for sure. Kat is a very smart pitcher. She's very competitive and very smart. So she has a really good understanding of what she's trying to do. So I don't think sometimes she wows you in the beginning. One is I don't want all the pitching staff super sharp in February. I want to be sharp in June. Right. So it may not wow you then, but like as you watch her career and as you watch her games, you start to really understand what she's doing. And then it becomes really impressive. Again, back to her consistency and her composure. And she showed her composure and experience a lot in the last couple of weeks. And I think that's where the nails part comes in, is like super competitive. You see that strut and that fist pump, and it's pretty awesome. But she's engaged in each pitch, and she knows what she's doing.
I was going to say something that's happened in college baseball, much to my dismay over the last, 5 or 10 years, is they've almost become like wrestling matches with the two dugouts screaming at each other and posturing and beating their chests and saying, let's go. Has that melted or carried over a little bit into softball? And the reason I ask is I can imagine, I know she's not doing it to show anybody up.
Yeah.
But when she strikes someone out and does that little pump or that little strut,
yeah,
does it rub teams the wrong way? I don't think she cares either way, but have you seen that happen?
No, I haven't seen that too much, but we do go on the line of I think we're having conversations in our game right now. What is respecting the game? What is disrespectful to teams? How fans want to handle themselves versus teams want to handle themselves. I agree with you. I've seen a lot of sport. I'm not just going to say baseball, but a lot of sport that's really gotten out of hand of the disrespect for the game. And I think we try to ride that line a lot. So I'm okay with competitive passion moments. Like you have a passionate moment striking someone out, but taunting and the dugout taunting to me is like, it's got to go. Like there's a moment in the game you can have passion for. There is a too much in your face taunting that doesn't belong in the game. And that's a fine line and something we all have to take care of. And I think we got to take care of it in our sport, because I love our sport. I think our sport is very classy and a very family-friendly sport. So I'm a big talker on that side. I have a lot of conversations with a lot of coaches on that side, because we have to take care of it. We as coaches and we as players. The outside world's not. So we're the ones that are in it.
And talk about in your sport, I mean, it's been taking off. I know people say pickleball is the fastest growing sport in the country. Give me a break. I don't think anybody's going to be watching pickleball. The ratings you guys get for this sport, and the fact that your tickets, Lonni, sold out in, I don't know, half a second, 5 minutes, whatever it was, tickets for this regional. I have to imagine as a softball lifer, and I know you played in some stadiums and you coached in some stadiums, there might have been a dozen, 2 dozen, 3 dozen people there.
Yeah. What
is it like for you on a Friday night of a regional, or a Tuesday night when you're playing Florida, to see that place look like that? It's just got to be, I don't know if you pinch yourself or you allow yourself to take it in, but man, what a cool moment for this sport.
Yeah.
And what a cool moment for this fan base to get to celebrate it with this program.
Yeah. I think a couple of things in there, Corey. One is I always tell the girls, like, man, this is not normal. We've worked really hard as a program to grow this. And then they're all looking at me like, well, this is normal because this is what we play in front of all the time. And I have to remind myself, like, I'm starting to be around the game. Like, I remember when, I was here and we played Michigan and we were 12 people in the stands, and the animals were like 6 of them, and so it's like, I remember when, and being a part of the growth. But then the freshmen or the younger ones, they only know what they know. They only know this environment. So, we do have to, as a coaching staff and a program, remind, where we came from, but then continue to build it. So the reason why we sell out in 3 minutes, we don't have enough seating. Softball in general doesn't have enough seating. And so, how do we grow that? University of Oklahoma is building a $25 million stadium. They ripped up their architect drawings because they want more seats now, 6,000, 6,500. They had 3,500. We just need to build it more and see the bigger picture of it. And on the fact that you say, Corey, about our fan base seeing it, I'm so proud of the fact that they feel like they've grown this just as much as we've grown it, because they're really it's a very intimate setting here. So you feel like you're a part of the team. You can be there right there with the team. You're in all the moments. You are riding the highs and lows as a fan, but you also know the players and you know us and you know the program. And that's what's super special about Tallahassee. And I love that. So I don't feel like, I'm going out there being judged on wins. I feel like we're going out there as a fan base and a team trying to get the W. We're all in it, and it's super cool.
And going back to the sport itself, the specific nature of this league or this season and the way the sport is growing, the pitching, you mentioned it a little bit. I know you guys use 4 or 5 pitchers pretty regularly.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. And I'm a softball novice, but when I was growing up, I don't remember that being the case with college softball. I feel like it was maybe 1 or 2. One team would ride the same pitcher over and over again. And I was like, well, maybe that's a Florida State specific thing. But then I looked at South Carolina. They've had 5 players pitch over 40 innings and have over 20 appearances. UCF has 2 that are over 100 innings and another one that's 70. That said, is this where the sport is going, that it's not? And why is that? Is it because, like you said earlier, that if you show the same pitcher to the same offenses over and over, they will end up timing her up and hitting her?
It's a culmination of many things. You have kids specializing at a younger age now, so kids are really getting better. They're getting taught better at a younger age. They're coming in as better athletes, have a good understanding of how to get on a rise ball, how to get to velocity, how to get under a drop ball. So they're coming in smarter. You have pitching machines now, we every year are trying to get these hack attacks and get out there and get machines that can simulate pitchers. So, I think Florida came in here with machines warming up to play us, and they had everything dialed in to Sander Cox drop balls and rise balls and changeups, right? So you're simulating stuff and seeing it over and over. So the time that Kat goes out there, you've already seen her 10 times before you play her. And then I think, we're on TV more. So when you get on TV and people can see you, I'm going to say back in the day when the VHSs were going around, I didn't see the pitchers we were facing. You just heard the glove popping and you're like, oh, that sounds like it's pretty fast, And so you don't know until you get in there. So now familiarity is there and there's just no surprises. So you got to go out and play a good game of softball and make your adjustments. So that's where that's coming from. You can get someone 1 time, you get them 2 times. That 3rd time, better hitting teams are going to make adjustments. So we as staffs have to have something up our sleeves to be able to get through that. So, yeah.
And two last questions about this particular team. Number one, if you could talk about the rest of the pitching staff, because it's not just Kat. You don't win 50 games and win ACC stuff with 1 pitcher. You've got a bevy of them. You've got a host of good pitchers. And did you know that going in? Did this season play out like you expected it would? Because you lost a really good one. Yeah. And did it in last year? So has it played out the way you thought it would?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I map out the season, and I've been pretty close on my numbers, which is pretty crazy.
What does that mean? What does that mean? You map it out?
So I map out innings. I knew exactly how many innings I wanted to get Kat. I knew how many innings I had to fill with Danielle being gone, and who would fill those innings. I knew Mac Leonard would be good for us, Allie Dubois, and how. If I don't have a plan for the season on the innings, I can't develop the pitchers nor get them comfortable in the role that we need this coming weekend. So I think that's been, really important to us and been pretty close. I was kind of surprised, but Mac Leonard, we had to manage a little of her back. She's a little bit older and she's got some back problems. So I had to manage her swings and first base play and pitching. She's come on strong towards the end, which has been outstanding. Allie Dubois had to manage a little hip problem with her too. And so she's been in and out here and there, but have done a great job for us. I think the dark horse has been McKenna Reed. We had Maddie Bach and McKenna Reed as freshmen coming in. Both have tremendous stuff. McKenna Reed has kind of picked up in that area and done a really good job of picking up some good innings for us. So you look at those 3 of the things that they've done, and then Royalty, getting some opens for us. Emma has been around the program a ton. Great. Just got to get her opportunity, which could be next year for us. So the growth of that and how you do it as a baseball pitching staff, we're starting to understand how to do it as softball staffs.
And I was going to say also when it comes to analytics, I remember talking to you maybe a year or two ago that you said softball was not nearly caught up to baseball as far as the analytical with the numbers and the spin rates and what that means and everything else.
Yeah.
Have you gotten closer to that? Do
Yeah.
you feel like you have a better handle on what those numbers mean and how they can impact the future?
Yeah, Corey, a couple years ago, there was 3 teams in the country doing it. Now there's 20. I think the SEC all shares all the data. I know that, it's coming down to we're talking metrics now. We have the Acrotech system. We're getting the updated Acrotech system. It's a camera. It's taking pictures. It's got rise. It's got velocity. It's got exit velo off of bats. Like, you are a scientific softball player now. Still trying to figure out how to go to school and feed yourself and drink some water, but you're a scientific softball player
Right.
and you know how much you can lift, how hard you can hit it. So we're trying to match those two in a sport that's still somewhat amateur, right? And trying to match those two and play at a high level. You are right. Like, Florida State wants us to be in Oklahoma City every year. Like, that's a big standard that we want to get to. That's where we want to be too. But we're trying to match the metrics along with the personnel.
And I would say, Lonni, I was watching the selection show, and it's stuff that I think this is stuff that people don't really think about in the moment. The selection show was great. They had cameras everywhere. It was an hour-long show, Holly Rowe and everything else.
Yeah.
And then they have another hour after that, like breaking down the matchups and stuff.
Yeah.
And don't you think, and maybe I'm completely wrong, this is the next step in the development of the game. It's not just, here's 2 weekends in Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
Enjoy it, everyone. It's the regular season that matters. It's building up the postseasons. It's analyzing the matchups before they happen.
Yeah.
I just think all of that helps grow the game.
Yeah. Yeah. Because now you're in, like, you're watching it and you're like, whoa, who is this kid that throws 74 to 76 that's coming into Tallahassee this weekend? Like, I want to see her. Now I know that my team, you're cheering for Florida State and they're going to face velocity like that. Like, you're all into it. So when you have knowledge, it brings excitement to the level of trying to compete against that and who's going to be the matchup for it. So yes, the more knowledge we have, the more power we have to be able to grow and develop our game at a high level. Still, down to us, we have to execute.
Right.
We have to execute. This is going to be a big pitching tournament. There's a lot of good pitchers coming in here, and the execution piece is going to be huge for us.
And last question. Obviously, we know how it ended last year, and it did not end well for you guys. How much is that? I mean, I know you've talked a lot about how that was a driving force in the offseason. That was a driving force in the regular season.
Yeah.
Is it something you mention to this team? I mean, they know it. And
Yeah.
what do you do? How, so sometimes the ball just doesn't bounce your way. And I'm not saying that happened that day. You didn't play well.
Yeah.
But how do you kind of understand the importance of all these games? But you also want to kind of be as calm as you can too, right? Like that's such a weird dichotomy for an athlete to have. So how do you as a coach get them to be fearless, but maybe not have the nerves that you want them to have, that you don't want them to have nerves?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I want nerves because nerves means something's on the line.
Right. Okay. Right. Gotcha.
Like if you're not feeling like a little like anxiousness of like excitement, so you can take that excitement as like, oh, I'm excited, or like, oh my gosh, I'm scared, right? Like it's a decision on the nervousness, the butterflies of how you decide to take those. And I think, when we look at last year, Corey, I was like really into it. We dive into it, but we got some calls that didn't go our way, like the Duke game and the championship game, right? Like calls did not go our way.
I'm glad you brought that up real quick.
Yeah.
So they said that she was making the transition with the ball in her glove.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they reviewed it?
No, you can't. It's non-reviewable.
So all right. So you would have had second, third, nobody out, correct?
Yes.
And instead it's 2 outs and nobody on.
Well, we had 1 out at that point, but yeah.
So it ended the inning.
It ended the inning. Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead with what you were saying. I'm sorry. I just wanted to get that on record.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying, like, at that point, though, like, our team could have folded. Like, nothing was going for us. There were so many things that, we had another call at first base that could have been easily an out call, ended up being a safe call. And our team, I could see our team, like, so what? Let's just take care of the next pitch. Let's take care of it, right? Like, where last year, when things weren't going our way, we got quiet. So now I'm starting to see us morph into a mindset different than last year. Does that guarantee that we'll win this weekend? No. But at least we've really addressed it. And now we're going in with another tool set. The ball can bounce either way, but at least we'll be more present. And we have talked about it. Even the selection show, they talked about, Florida State didn't make it out. Our whole team's like, whatever, different year, right? Like, you have to talk about it, or else it sits right underneath the rug and is definitely going to boil over at some point. So we've addressed it. I like how we bounced back from a lot of adversity this season, whether it was a Vautech or down to Clemson, or, we've been in a lot of situations and we've kept our head above water and really been good about our left and right. Yeah. It's about this person here and this person here. It's not about me getting quiet. And so that's been the address this year. And that's what the behavior that we'll fall back on here come this weekend.
And as a head coach, last question, but as a head coach, I think what you'd want is just play well. Give yourself a chance. If something, because I think what really bothered all of us, and you more than anyone, I'm sure, about last year was you just didn't play well in that last game. You played so great for so long, and then one day you had a bad day. And that first game was as listless as a Florida State game had been all season, and you just didn't give yourself a chance to win that one. Yeah. So is that that's the goal. That's the mindset, right? You be in this, you give yourself a chance to win.
100%. Yeah. 100%. That's what we've been talking about last couple of days. I mean, we have a velo pitcher, we have a changeup pitcher, we have power hitting, we have slapping, we have it all. We have a Marist team that flat out swings it. The coach is a New York Yankees guy, right? Like, they get it. Like, there's just no easy games anymore, and we have to come play. And if we want to move on, we have got to fight for it. So it is a great season. We had a great season last year. Our regular season last year was incredible, but that's not going to guarantee anything for this weekend. We knew that this year. Another great season this year. Nothing's guaranteed. Got to go get it.
Lonnie, you are the best. I'm the best.
We'll see. We'll see.
Great. Yeah. Well, that's right. You got a couple of weeks to prove that. But Lonnie, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it. And good luck this weekend. And we need to, and we will talk again next weekend as hopefully we prepare for a super regional.
I love that. Thanks, Corey.
All right. Thank you, Lonnie.